This is episode 275, a sawed-off shotgun of SM57s.
On this episode, we recap BOTCON. We talk about tube amps again, kind of.
Yeah.
And the Nano Cortex from Neural DSP.
Yeah, dude.
All right. And who gets second place in guitar? Weigh in your thoughts now. It's a sport. Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome back to the tone control.
Oh.
Is it going to work? There it goes.
Wait.
I did it on the screen that time. What are you doing? What is it?
I had my bell in here, and now it's gone.
Oh, it's gone.
All right. Ding.
Bing.
We're back.
All right. We're back.
Bye.
Bye.
I mean, hi.
This fucking time.
God damn it.
Oh, Derek, how were we ever going to follow last episode's amazing performance by Yamaha?
By Yamaha. I don't know. We've seen greatness achieved, you know?
Yeah, this is like the other half of the quarterfinals now. We're just going to have everybody else duke it out for second place or something.
Yeah, you heard it, everybody. Guitar is a sport.
And it's been won. It's over. Now there is only second place.
When American Idol first came out, whenever that was, I was a youngster.
It's got to be like 30 years ago now. Maybe not that long ago.
Probably not that long.
Overshoot a little bit.
But yeah, like at least 20, right?
Yeah.
Like it's got to have, yeah. So I remember thinking like, having not experienced game shows like that before, because they were new, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is it. We're going to find the American Idol, and then it's going to be over. And I was so convinced, not convinced, but I never once thought, of course they'll do it more. Like it never crossed my mind. Like this is a big deal. We're going to find like one person. That's going to be a big title, right? Like that's going to be a big deal in the biz. Nah. Like it's been a big deal for a few, and then the show keeps going, and I don't know.
And and then it gave little show babies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those exist. They spread out across the earth.
I will say, we watched season 1 of The Masked Singer because a lot of people at work were telling me about it. People who are like me and not really a fan of the competition reality shows and stuff. And
so you thought this one was going to break through. It was going to break through for you.
Yeah. Because people's opinions who I trusted on this matter. And
right on.
I was like, it was actually really fun. And we haven't kept up with it because there was a big, time in between and a whole pandemic and stuff. But it was really fun. It's not a bad show. I
don't know if this is a topic that we want to be discussing right now, but I legit don't really get I think there's something I'm missing about the concept there. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I do know. Yeah, but.
So The Masked Singer is like people in these very ornate, elaborate costumes that take on a whole persona, and it's like whoever's inside is fully anonymized, and
they're doing a thing. They're not acting like themselves.
They're not acting like well, they're not. You can't see who they are. They're in like full mascot size costumes.
Yeah,
and when they speak, they have a voice filter on. They sound all distorted and weird and stuff, and the panel has to guess who they are and kind of vote and all that kind of thing. And then only then is it revealed who was singing the whole time. Right. And then at some point, somebody is crowned the king, right? So crowned the winner of this thing.
Okay, wait. So this is who's in competition? The people guessing?
No.
Or the people singing?
The singers.
So there's more than one masked singer?
Yes, there are many. And it's like, it's a finals, semifinals kind of model, right? It's like not a bracket, but it's very like, one of you will be eliminated this week, kind of.
Okay, so this is the thing that I didn't understand or still don't understand. There's 2 games at the same time on the same show, right? There's the game to guess, but there's also the game to be the best.
The game to guess is not really like part of the rules or anything. It's just like part of the hype around the show, right? Is trying to guess who it is, and it has whether the judges guess correctly or not has no bearing on the outcome. It's just sort of like the feel and like, oh, who could it be? And then you get these little guesses based on their body language or things they've mentioned in their bio or something. Keeping it really vague and stuff. It's fun. It's like a cheeky, like silly twist on the whole thing. And I think they did a really good job. I'm just going to say it. It's funny.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good show.
Awesome.
Yeah. Give it a shot.
All right.
It's a total like no commitment game show to watch. So
yeah. Rad.
Yeah. And that's The Masked Singer.
And that's
everybody.
The Masked Singer. So this is well, like we said at the outset, guitar has been completed. So we
welcome
had
to season 2, baby.
This is season 2 of the Tone Control, where I don't know, maybe we'll experiment with a couple of things before we find one. But guitar's done. So if you only liked us for guitar, I guess I'm
you probably left
free.
A long time ago.
Yeah, I'm setting you free at the beginning of the episode instead of the end.
So anyway, we can pivot. So I'm just going to jump right in and totally take this conversation because I'm feeling fucking awesome after the Comic-Con this last weekend.
Yes.
Like,
saw a few pictures roll through Discord and it looked like there was a big pile of awesome.
So just off the charts awesome. And I've been to a lot of cons like for gaming and stuff. The cons all kind of work the same. It's once you've been to one, you've been to them all. But it was so good on so many levels. Mostly, it was just like seeing people really excited that something like this thing I made can be made by a human, right? Like that it's people were so stoked to see life-size droid replicas, props, I don't know what you'd really want to call them, but they're not robotic, they're not animatronic or anything. And they're just so like impressed that it exists in the first place. And then I'm like, yeah, they're all 3D printed, and like their brain explodes a little bit, which is very flattering and very like validating for this whole thing that I've been doing. Because it's really just been a fun thing to do in the basement. Like it's just a hobby. And everyone's like,
this started like you were like,
can I call you about this?
It was like, I would like to have one of these in my house, and then the balloon fills from there, right? Yeah,
right, exactly. And then you realize like, well, it's actually pretty affordable as far as hobbies go, and like what the cost of making a cool multi-week project like this is. The overhead's not high, not including the printer, obviously, but like material costs are not crazy. Yeah, and it's really just a lot of time. So anyway. Kids coming up and like super jazzed to see droids and robots and talk about Star Wars, or all other kids coming up a little older, super hyped to talk about 3D printing and like prototyping and engineering, which like I'm not an engineer at all, but it's that whole how do we approach problem solving kind of conversation, which was really, really fun to have with kids who are like 15. And so some people are like, this is so great. Can I message you about like STEM program? Sure. you can.
Sure, you can message Professor Heidemann. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to tell a few people, I was like, look, I'm just a guy. I live across town and I have a day job. Like this is just a fun thing. And they're like, oh yeah, sure. Anyway, can you make me one of these?
Anyway, shut up. And let's talk about droids some more. That's a funny thing that you said, their mind's blown when you tell them it's 3D printed. And for me, like, not that isn't like awesome, but imagine making that at this visual quality level without 3D printing. That would be, to me, I would be like, what? Like, that's the next level for me. I would be like, you didn't 3D print this? Tell me more. Yeah. But
it'd be like the old school, like resin casting or something.
Sure.
Like using molds and pouring a liquid to a solid. And something like that,
and then
right?
having
It'd be
to
like
carve
a way
it
more.
Oh yeah.
Right, there'd be positives and negative molds and like plaster forms and all this shit. Right, it'd be a whole lot, And so it's just cool because like people see 3D printed stuff, like this little doohickey I made. Right? Isn't this crazy?
But it's a triangle.
It's a pyramid.
Oh my God! They just keep going.
Yeah, and so this is like a cool thing.
That's rad.
And like you see this and you're like, of course this is 3D. You can listen to it.
Yeah.
It's fucking, that's the 3D printed sound.
You can hear the grain.
Yeah, the layers.
We call it grain. Yeah.
Sure. This is my color change filament. Very cool. Very fun.
It's super rad.
People see that, or they see like, this is just like a little cargo mech thing that I printed to have on my desk to like hold fidget toys and shit. Like the classic, right? Like very iconic 3D print stuff. But then like the droids come into play and I'm like doing a lot of sanding and finish work and people are like, I'm convinced this is metal.
Yes.
Or at least, not, or something else, right? Not plastic.
Yeah.
Which is so awesome to hear. And I'm like really tooting my own horn about it because why the hell not?
That's the movie stuff. That's what they do. They make things out of foam that you then think are heavy because of the way they use them and shoot them. And yeah,
exactly.
It's a heritage there.
Right. The guy next to me had a 9 foot tall and 9 foot long Mechagodzilla cosplay.
Yes, I saw him putting it on.
Yeah. He's putting it on. He's got like this giant dinosaur. There's a tiny little human arm sticking out of the edge. He really like suits up. But like just the coolest shit. And excuse me, sorry. I just need to like tell this one detail. The guy who is part of the RobotCon a few tables down from me had an Iron Man suit that he 3D printed. Very common, big project that 3D print people like to do. There's so many parts. There's like really a lot to learn with finishing techniques because the Iron Man suit is not weathered most of the time. It's very like automotive and very sparkly and clean and crisp, and it's a hard thing to achieve. He's got one that he printed and did that super high quality level of work, but he made it from home recycling plastic Snapple bottles. So now he's not, I'll tell you what he's not doing. He's not cutting up the bottles into different shapes and shingling it. Like he's not tiling these pieces. He's got a machine that will take a washed and cleaned bottle and strip it down into a long cord of plastic. Like it spirals it out into a long cord.
Yeah, like a lathe just cuts it down into a ribbon.
Yeah, pretty much. Except it's like, it's this direction, it's vertical, and there's like a razor blade, and you just pull it, and it cuts it evenly. So then he takes that, which is made of, because Snapple as a company has moved to this 100% recycled plastic bottle tech, right, that they're using in all their of Snapple products. All the bottles are the same material, completely free of additives. So it's just 100% like PET or something,
whatever the recyclable plastic is. Yeah.
Right. And so he's got this thing where he strips it out into a cord, feeds it into another machine where it joins the ends and extrudes it into a solid core filament that's a 1.75 millimeter round filament, which is what 3D printers use. He's got a third machine that then coils it up on a spool.
And then the third machine
with no tangles, because that's a whole thing too.
Yeah.
And then feeds it to his printer and extrudes it again as traditional 3D printing and made this amazing looking Iron Man suit. I couldn't believe it. The guy, and it was just like most incredible engineering.
He's turning thirst and electricity into a suit.
Just like Tony Stark.
Yeah. Just, that's the same.
Yeah. So it was super cool. And like, got to meet a bunch of really cool people and gained like a ton of followers on my Droid account, my Droid Instagram. Lots of awesome, really, really, really good cosplay. Excited kids. And so it was just like the best. So now, today, I started printing a battle droid.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is the guy with the banana for a head.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Roger.
Roger. Yep.
6'4".
Now, I know I'm catching myself doing it. Whenever you tell me about something, I get ahead of it. And I say like, that's awesome. End of sentence. And now we'll just pretend that like enough time has passed that this is a reasonable thing to say. And then print a C-3PO head, right? That's like interchangeable. Yes. Okay, great.
Yes. So the files I purchased included the appropriate like neck adapter bracket thing for a 3PO head to attach.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Perfect. Exceptionally well done.
Yes. Very good. Very good.
Anyway, I've been printing part of the head for the last 10 hours.
Nice. It's a good thing you have a basement.
Yep.
Does it make a lot of noise? I know we talked about this weeks ago when you first got it.
It's not terribly noisy.
Probably not as bad as the old ones were.
Yeah, for sure. It also, believe it or not, has active noise canceling. even though it's not
yes,
contained
you told
in
me
anything.
This. I remember that. Yeah.
Even though it's not contained
vibrates.
within a box. Right, exactly. It's nuts.
Fucking bananas. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, it's not loud. Like you could perfectly hold a conversation over it at normal speaking volume.
Cool.
It's not disruptive when you're like down there doing other stuff. I wouldn't run it while I sleep.
Right, exactly. But if you were like, if it was like in your living room or something, you'd be like, oh, this isn't the right place for this.
It's probably about as loud as like, it's like as much as a dishwasher in the background. Like not disruptive,
that's pretty quiet.
But there.
Yeah, that's pretty quiet.
And that's the one I have. I mean, I'm sure they change as you go, but
yeah, printers or dishwashers.
Yes.
My parents' dishwasher is like really fancy, newer one than mine, and it's like way the fuck quieter. Like mine, I run the dishes at night because I don't want to deal with that crap when I'm watching TV. I don't have to turn my TV up because of the fucking dishwasher. Theirs is pretty good. I don't even know what's going on. It's like, and then it does this beep. It's like sings a song when it do. You know what I mean? And
my parents'
like,
washing machine does that.
What the fuck was that? Because I didn't even know it was on. Anyway, that's just, I don't know how I did that.
A lot of people do that with my dishwasher. And in fact, when we first got it, we were on our third dishwasher in this house because the one that was in the house when we bought it finally like just shit the bed. We got a hand-me-down replacement that very shortly after also shit the bed. And then we got the one we have now. And it's far quieter than all of the other ones we've had. And so for, I don't know, 6 months, Beth would open it while it was running. And because she couldn't hear it, and because the other ones were so loud.
Yeah.
And it's completely like buttonless, right? It's super sleek on the front and stuff. So there's a little light on the bottom that casts a shadow on the floor. Like you got to look for the floor.
You got to look at the thing on the floor. It's too advanced. Yeah. That's funny. Damn.
Yeah. Damn. So anyway, the con, I'm wearing my con shirt.
Yep.
Granite State
Granite
Con.
State.
It was super fun and bigger and better next year for sure. So
superb. Bigger robots.
Yeah, dude. Bigger robots.
We'll see. Probably. I mean, I don't know.
The Battle Droid's big. There was the Great Mazinger there. That was the first anime broadcast in America, and it was in New England plus New Jersey. So it's like incredibly niche, and they made an action figure version of it that was for sale at the time. So the guys got a 3D scan of the original action figure that was made into STLs, and then expanded it by like 1,000% or something like that. So it was a 12-inch, not 1,000%, but it was like a 12-inch action figure, and now it's a 9-foot action figure. It was standing next to Godzilla. Yeah, it was awesome. All the Futurama bots. Somebody was cosplaying as Mom from Futurama, which was just fabulous.
That was the best picture, like with the cigarette and everything.
Cigarette, yeah. And it was just really fun. Lots of amazing art. Big year for Ninja Turtles, which originated in New Hampshire.
Yep.
And it was a 40-year anniversary. So lots of Ninja Turtle artwork and people from that whole space, like voice actors and animators and writers and like tons of people. Great panels and all that. So really great.
Cool. I have the Ninja Turtles. I have the first 3 graphic novels, like the originals. Oh, cool. My cousin, who is a significantly older cousin than me, gave them to me one year. Like, but yeah, like the original first 3, like when they were like they would like kill people. They would just straight up kill people. They would like cut people to death.
Yeah,
in the early thing before it was like a kids show kind of thing.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I
they're
have
like
a
thick,
graphic
heavy
novel.
duty. They're not like They're not like comic books. They're like heavy gauge paper, pretty thick books. Anyway, they're stored away. Hang on. Probably be valuable someday. I don't know if they're valuable now. I don't know anything about it.
Speaking of, I've never read this, but I have this. I have the Absolute Watchmen graphic novel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it comes in this crazy hardcover thing. And it's just the entirety of Watchmen in this like, it's like it feels and looks like one of my old art history textbooks.
Yeah.
So, and it's just all comics the whole way.
Wow.
Do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not even opened it. I just like, my uncle was moving and it's an uncle who like would not own this. I'm like, why do you have this?
And he's like, I don't anymore. You do.
Yeah, pretty much. He was like, do you want it? Somebody gave it to me. I don't even know what it is. I was like, I will take it. So,
yes.
Anyway, so guitars. What did you say?
I'll tell you what.
Later?
I'll do. Yeah, I'll kick into a story that's actually going to slide into guitars. How's that sound?
Okay.
We're just going to do
even
that.
Better.
Yeah. All right, jotting down in the notes so I don't forget where I was. So I have this hi-fi tube amp thing, which I actually got from Tube Depot back in the day, and they still sell them because I was looking around at these things again. I haven't looked at like tubes and stuff in ages because I'm not like actively playing my amps anymore. I used to retube them occasionally when they saw a lot of action. Anyway, the Tube Cube 7 kit. The kit that comes with little 6 ohm speakers. It's like a bookshelf thing. It's a 7-watt tube amp. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I should say 7-watt. I wonder if they're referring to the size of the container that it's in. But
it could be.
It's a stereo amp that's an EL84 per channel, and then uses one dual triode tube, so a 12A7
you said
type.
It's the Tube Cube 7.
Yes,
right.
That's the kit.
Okay.
I should pull. You're right. I should pull it up.
Boasts a power
7.
output of 3.5 watt plus 3.5 watt at 8 ohms. There we go.
Totaling 7. All right. So here I'll throw it up on the thing. Here it is, pictured next to a 7-Up can.
Crisp, clean, and refreshing. Anyway.
So I mean, look, it's kind of a showpiece thing. It's not like a particularly loud thing, but if you're going to have like speakers in the room, this was before like everybody had like an Alexa in their house that could just play music or whatever. But I have it, I like it, and I hooked it up to, I had one of these old Airport Express. So this was back in the day when Apple still made routers. The Airport Express was this tiny little thing that was basically big enough that you could just plug it into a wall outlet. It would just dangle off your Edison receptacle, you know? And they got end-of-lifed eventually, but before they did, Apple released a firmware that you can install that turns it into an AirPlay point, like an AirPlay access point, because this device had a headphone port. I have no idea why Apple put a headphone port on their router.
For this exact reason, so you could plug in speakers to it. Like it was
it existed before AirPlay. It's like, how could you?
Right, but it wasn't called AirPlay. It was something else. You know, it was like you could just send it. Like I can play from Apple Music, from iTunes, whatever, you know, the music
iTunes
app.
In the day.
I can broadcast, quote unquote, to my TV, but it's playing from here, and it's that's the difference. Yeah.
So the thing. So anyway, I had one of these. I did it, and so I plugged it in. So basically, now AirPlay is in my house. It's Ethernetted into my router, and I can.
Perfect.
So my AirPlay device is this hi-fi amp thing. So you can play things on it, and you still have to manually turn it on. It heats up. My wife hates it because a couple of times she reached up to like turn it off at the end of the night, and she's clumsier, I guess, and she just burned herself on the EL84.
Didn't know tubes were hot, maybe.
I guess, I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah.
So we hadn't been using it for a while because one day, like, I noticed like one of the channels wasn't working. And so the other day I wanted to play music again, and it all came back to me, right? Like, I'm bugged by this. One of the sides isn't working. Well, let's do the easy, you know, so I swapped the speaker cables. Okay, it's not that. I swapped the tubes. I'm thinking it's going to be one of these easy things, right?
Like,
these
like
old
a
Chinese
dirty connector or
these
something.
cheapy tubes that it came with or whatever. So it wasn't any of that stuff. And I'm like, fuck. Well, and Marielle's like, good, I hate that thing. It's finally getting trashed. And I was like, well, I'm at least going to open it before I throw it away, right? You're probably right. It's probably over my head because I don't, tube circuits, I'm not going to go poking around.
Yeah, you could like hurt yourself or worse, right? Like, yeah.
Exactly. So, but anyway, so I get out my screwdrivers and I pop it open thinking if it's nothing's obvious, I'm going to show up and then I'll have to trash it. But this is what I see instead. is a mess on the bottom. And then I look, and if you look down at the bottom, right down there at the bottom right, that capacitor on the side that wasn't working is what exploded. And you can see there's like some spatter of that capacitor goo. So I was like, oh shit, I can fix this. That's just an electrolytic capacitor. That's like an 80-cent part. So I was so excited. And Mario was like, oh. So, well, no, first she was like, I mean, how expensive is that? And I was like, it's like an 80-cent part. Give me a break. So anyway, so I found a little.
She's like gaslighting you into not doing it because it might be expensive.
Oh, you can't fool me, woman. So I excitedly, I was on the way to my folks' house, and I drove by a little shop that I looked up, a little electronics repair shop that also sells components, wandered in, and I was like, I need me one of these, actually 2 of these, because one of those popped. Yeah. So obviously the other one's probably about to pop, right? So I do them both since I had it open. It was a little tricky because you can't see here, but like the solder pads on this were really small. Like the manufacturing was like probably not done by hand kind of thing.
Certainly, yeah.
And I kind of screwed one of the pads up desoldering it, the old one. And so I scratched off part of the solder mask around it to make sure I got a good bond, and I was not sure, but then I hooked it up and it started working again. The tubes were really kind of junky. I don't know, the one on that side was actually really junky. It had gotten super microphonic and would crackle a lot, which I don't know, maybe that happened because I ran it for hours before I figured out that that I shouldn't be doing that, you know, but I don't really know if that capacitor was, I mean, it's filtering something about the electricity, so I don't know. But anyway, but whatever, due for a tube swap. So I had a pair of Mullard EL84s, and I tried a few. I tried a couple of Mullard 12AX7s, but then I actually had this this Russian-made Tungsol AT7, AT7W or whatever. Like it's with matched triodes, they have bias point of 80, which is a lot lower than the Mullards. And sure enough, that's the thing for this amp, right? Because the Mullards sounded really like compressed mid-range, which is kind of fun, but the Tungsol had the kind of 3D thing that you'd want when you're listening to music. It's not a guitar amp, right? Yeah, it's that sort of like. So I did that this afternoon, and my kid was at her dance class. I did the solder work and then hooked it up, tested a few tubes. I was like, oh yeah, that's the one. I'll leave those in there. Sick. And feeling great. It's a win. So
that's a huge win and like an awesome thing to have up and running again too.
Yeah. And like on our list of things to do, which is now got moved to behind get a new house, is in the new house, that's where we're going to finally get like a turntable set up, and I will patch it into this. I'm just going to get like a switcher, so it can either be, I just need a simple switcher for RCA that'll change between the turntable and then the airport. So that, so essentially
you could figure something
AirPlay
out
from phones, or if we're playing a record, you just switch it. Oh, I already looked up, like there's a piece of kit I can buy. In fact, it'll look good sitting right underneath this little thing. So
and believe it or not, Sonos makes a piece of hardware that is that now. That is like connect your existing home hi-fi setup to the Sonos product, basically. And it's like this, it's a piece of hardware that interfaces, so you can like use your CD player or your record player through your Sonos system elsewhere in your house. And it's kind of just a similar thing as to how
anywhere.
Let me know when you're ready for records. I have tips and thoughts.
All right, cool. Yeah, I actually don't have I have a few that I've managed to sort of accidentally collect over the years, but not very many. So we will be buying when it comes down to it.
Of course. I just mean like for the player itself and all that stuff.
For
I've had
turntables?
mine for a while.
Yeah.
I have a U-turn. This is not a secret. It's not like I need to gatekeep this, but I've been super, super happy with it. And they're a pretty small company out here, and they're in Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. So they're like, I like the local aspect. That's obviously not super important for you, I guess. But
it's not very local to me, Derek.
It's awesome because it's got, one of the things that makes it awesome is the one I have has an acrylic platter. So it's like 1.25 inch thick piece of acrylic That's a perfect circle. That is the platter. So it's very heavy. And that extra mass just like really helps with the whole vibe, right? The whole thing. Yeah. Stabilizing, among other things. So it's very dense. But anyway, yeah. That's great. I love that.
Neat. Yeah. So I'm pretty thrilled. And then I just played music in my house while no one was here for a long time.
You ever do so, this is one of those things that you do and you're like, I did that. And you just kind of like feel like really awesome about it for a minute. It's like, I'm proud of it, but also just like, check, thing solved.
I love fixing stuff. Fixing stuff is awesome. And it's rarer now because a lot of things like as electronics have shrunk, like even this thing has some surface mount components in it. Like a lot of the smaller, a lot of the other resistors and diodes and stuff were surface mount, which like I've seen people do by hand. I don't have a good enough iron to do that really. Like I would probably need to upgrade to a better one, get a new tip at least. I don't do this very much anymore, but still like that made me, cause like off of all these conversations that we have in Discord, and I'm like kind of joking, but like, what was it the other day? It was like, the reverse. It was like, I'll quit guitar forever if I'm told I can't use a modeler ever again. I will quit guitar, which is a joke about the guy who said he'd quit forever if he was told he could only use a modeler.
Only had to use a modeler.
Yeah.
It was Tom Bukovac, by the way, like a real guy.
A real guy, an actual human. But then we go through like, and for real, like there's tons of things that are just such a pain and about like a true amp, right? Things, the inconsistencies, the fact that it has to, it's influenced by the room and the way that these other things are. All these things where if you're a gigging musician, there's like this laundry list of reasons to prefer a modeler, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so why would we prefer, and I was joking, but like going down, like we prefer an amp because half the time
it's less convenient.
Breaks, you kick it and it rings in the thing and it's super heavy and sometimes this part breaks and there's no software updates. None. They never update this thing. Can you believe that in this day and age?
And that's what makes it so good.
And then my amp breaks. And I open it up, and what can I do? Change a fucking 80-cent part. I went and paid that shop $1.72 for two of these, and then I soldered them in. And that's the thing. So it's like there's a simplicity there, right?
Yeah.
Without a schematic, I was like, well, there's your problem.
There it is. Yeah.
Little alcohol and solder.
Perfect. It's that like I don't do cars, but I change a headlight. Oh man. Caveman make fire, right? Like this is a big deal, right? I feel amazing at that.
That's true.
And like to bring this around, I guess, the 3D printing stuff and like working on all those schematics and not schematics, but like blueprints and order of operations and working with the material and stuff specifically, I feel so much more handy now in the last like 6 or 8 months. Like I just feel like, I'm less intimidated about trying to fix something. It doesn't mean like I can fix it, but I at least feel confident. I feel more confident seeking a solution that's not just like call a professional or replace it.
It's really growing as a person to have curiosity about the way things work. Not that you have to like become a master level on any of this stuff to get the benefit, but exactly like that thing. Just have your mind in that zone. Like how can I fix this instead of buying a new thing necessarily? Because there are still things around. I mean, there are shops. I didn't really talk to that guy very much, but he works on old tube equipment and other stuff, electronics. People can still fix stuff, even though their things are kind of built to be just
like single
trashed.
use. Yeah,
and they don't have to be. TVs, can still be fixed somewhat. They're expensive.
It's even little things like just the tools and like stuff I've acquired over the time I've been doing all this work. Now it's like, well, I've got all these good different kinds of adhesive. Right now I can fix things the right way instead of like trying to duct tape it, or like even little shit, just like fixing up toys that Jack broke, right? Or things that like fell out of the car and like split into two because, he just like hucked it out the window or some shit, right? Like I can more confidently be like, not a big deal. And in the past, I probably would have just been like, I don't, what do I do about this? Like I got to go buy a thing and like, right? So anyway, I get it. I know. I'm with you.
And anyway, that was tangentially guitar related because there's tubes, and because I dug into I went down to the basement where I have like a bag of tubes. I have all kinds of weird stuff that.
Oh, I got all kinds of weird stuff too. We were doing our yard sale, and Beth was like, "I don't know what this is in this box. Can we sell it? Or like, do you want to throw it away? Like, it's just taking up room." And it was my old tubes, all like tube box. It's all these. It's like 8 pairs, maybe. Like, it's a lot of 6v6 or 6L6.
Yeah.
Tubes that you now can't find because it has been long enough, right? I've kept them all. Like some of these Russian tubes and stuff that are out of like the companies have gone out of production or something, right?
Or there's sanctions and shit, because I do a bunch of stuff from that. That's a big part of tubes was stuff that came from Russia. I have some Sovtex in there, and I have a lot of tongue soles because I really like. It's not on the camera anyway. The larger of my 2 amps. I really like the tongue sole 5881s instead of 6L6s in it because they're exactly what you wouldn't want in a hi-fi. They're like super crushy and like their power curve is like a hockey stick.
So I actually haven't retubed either of my amps since I got them because they don't get the hours that they used to. My amps used to. They're different now, but my Rev, I think, has the pin out to take all those old tubes I have, and I'm curious.
What's
pretty
in
sure
it now?
It's 6L6. It might be JJ's.
Oh, but I just meant the tube type. I mean, the 6L6 socket, that's the same socket as EL34, the larger, it's the ones that traditionally Marshall would use.
It is an American style circuit, so I believe it's a 6L6 or 6V6. Yeah. Right?
6v6 is smaller. It's more like an EL84 type of
God, it's a long time since I've talked about tubes, I'm realizing.
5881s would fit. It's like a direct swap into most 6L6 amps. I heard something, one guy I used to know had a 5150, and he did something weird where he had, because 4 tube sockets, typically the amps will be inside pair and outside pair. Those are the wired together ones. And he did something where he put KT80. I shouldn't. KT88s is like a huge thing.
The big one. There's like a light bulb.
It's like that's like in the bass amps, the SVT tube amps have like 6 of them because it's like 1,000 watt amp. It's like well, not 1,000, but anyway, 300 watts tube. It's like ridiculous. KT66, which are very high power. You have to check. You can't just swap those in for a 6L6, even though it's the same socket. I still have some Sovtex KT66s that I did try in this, but I felt like I could hear the power transformer buzzing. Like the plates, in the magnetic field, the plates were literally making an acoustic buzz. And I was I maybe shouldn't do this. I called these are handmade, right? I had called the guy who made it. Do you think I could do this? And he's like, I mean, probably.
For a little while.
So I ended up not sticking with them, but I still have these they're like a regular sized light bulb kind of size. They're not like the KT88s, which are giant. But oh man, tubes.
That's cool. Tubes, man.
It was kind of cool. They get all hot, and you tap them to see if they're still
ting,
ting, and like the one I did today that was, like I said, was really messed up. I was just like, doing my standard, just a little tap it with my. I guess you're not supposed to use your fingernail, but anyway, I tap it gently with my fingernail, and that right side was like whong, and it was like coming out of the speaker, and I'm like, oh shit, that tube is done. They're not supposed to do that. So
I should think about what's going on with my amps, but
I'm sure the tubes are fine because that's the other thing is
they're totally fine. It's not. I don't want to retube it. The only interest I have in retubing it is because why not? Like let's just maybe revoice the amp a little bit.
Yeah, they're definitely sent from the factory with. I mean, it's easy to have. I assume all those amps would be like an auto bias kind of situation. That doesn't need a screw.
Yes. The Rev is auto self-biasing. The PRS is not. It has terminals on the back for that.
Okay.
But it's a vintage style bullshit thing. But
there's one then that you could then you could swap something in there and fuck around with it and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's Marshall.
That's a Reddit hole.
Right. What was I just going to say? I lost
Dude,
it. Oh well.
I don't know.
I'm going to use my Helix at band practice tomorrow. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Do you want to jump on to the next thing here?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's do that. Oh my God, cut it off already. There it goes. So what's a nano cortex, Derek?
It's a new modeler.
A new
Perfect,
wait,
right?
What? A new modeler?
We're so good at this. Wait, maybe it's me that's having a problem with the website. I can't tell. I'm still losing. God, why is this site such a fucking power hog? I've lost your video stream. I have your camera. I don't have your screen share.
Oh, okay. Everything seems fine on my end.
And now your video is frozen. But anyway, I'm going to pull up a Sweetwater page.
I will turn off my screen share
that instead,
just in case we just need to reduce it a little bit. You can look at the website on your own.
Okay, here we are. I pulled up a Sweetwater page for it. So anyway, the Neural DSP Nano Cortex Digital Effects Processor / Profiling Pedal is now available. This is a smaller version of the Quad Cortex, and I don't think it's quad. I haven't actually specifically looked into the power within the pedal itself, but it is small, SMOL, small boy.
Here we go.
There's no screen. No screen on it. And what? Sorry, are you there?
Yep.
Okay.
Still have you.
Something's going on. Hang on a minute. Now you're in Potato Vision.
Okay.
Weird.
Everything's still fine on my end. I hope we're
fucking all right.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. It's okay. I'm just on the phone with Justin now. It's fine.
This website has a lot of fancy crap on it, so it's possible that it's doing weird things, but
maybe that. But so anyway, I think it doesn't have a screen, and I think that's kind of the gutsy move for modelers to take that off. And what they've done is moved it into an app and put it on your phone, so you can connect to this pedal and do all your tweaks and saving and presets and all that junk on your phone instead of the device. And then the device itself, yeah, right. In my notes, I wrote. They moved the screen to your phone and made it smaller. Like that's really,
yeah.
I'm not trying to belittle this, but that's kind of the big change. It is quite a bit smaller. It still has 64 presets and capture slots and IR slots and it's like tons of I/O and tons of features and stuff like that. So you can do amp capturing with this. Neural can also do pedal captures. I'm not sure if this can, but I don't see why it wouldn't. It still has the combo jack on the side for that kind of thing. And USB-C for all of the other stuff that you would do on your desktop. So input and then stereo output. It's got a ground lift and expression or MIDI in, along with headphone out. And there's like a trim pot on the back for that headphone volume in kind of a funny way. But and then on the front, there's just kind of your typical controls. It's like, bass, middle, treble,
amp controls,
level, gain.
yeah.
Right. And a couple of buttons, a couple of foot switches, and then just like your other neural stuff. So bank indicators and effects indicators and stuff like that. It's really just the processing of all of that other stuff put into a smaller box that is like regular pedal shaped and sized.
Mm-hmm.
And it's $100 less than an HX Stomp.
Wow.
So,
which is a pretty inexpensive thing for the might of it, isn't it?
Granted, the HX Stomp had a price increase, so now it's $650.
Oh, okay.
But like all of Helix's stuff went up like a year or two ago, or Line 6's stuff went up a little bit ago, by a pretty consistent amount. But the Nano Cortex is $549, and if you get it at Sweetwater, they're including a Eminence Speakers IR pack for free.
So like an expansion that you'd otherwise have to pay for typically?
Yeah, so you're getting a bunch of Eminence IRs with your purchase from them, which is cool. And that's also true of the HX Stomp. Like all of their models are including this IR pack, which is rad. So you know, if you're getting one of these, if you're getting a modeler and you're not really thinking about exploring IRs, I say get it from Sweetwater anyway, because it's still then you have it and it'll be there for when you're ready. And it took me a year or two to get into IRs, and now it's kind of all I use. And why not have a few extras? They don't take up any room, and you know, you have more tools at your disposal. So that's the thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, so if there's a thing you're going to take off of a product like this, it's the screen, right? Because
I mean, it's kind of a surprising move.
When you're setting it up, there's no reason you can't use your phone. And when you're playing it, you're not setting it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I'm looking at my HX Stomp screen and thinking, what is it telling me at any given time? Yeah. Right. And there's a few different ways to use the display and for it to show you different things. But it's really just all current state stuff, right? Is your overdrive on?
Yeah. Does it make it easier to create patches? Or could you imagine that being easier on your phone?
I have a feeling for me that would feel pretty equivalent.
Mm-hmm. So you're not losing anything at least.
I don't think so. It's not about screen size, right? I mean, the Quad Cortex screen is huge, but you know, the HX Stomp screen is really tiny. Yeah. The Helix screen is fine, but like it's also all the other stuff because all of the system menus are on there too.
Right.
So if I'm switching my I/O around, which sometimes happens now and then, like if, you know, like say you join a new band and you're using a Helix and things are set up a little differently than your last band, you can, in the settings for that, you can change all the I/O.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what to put it, like how to put it. Like you can change what the I/O output is basically, whether the volume knob is affecting the stereo outs or not, or the headphone is or it's not, like all this stuff. So you can send like direct 100% line and then let the soundboard guy manage it. So, which is what we do. So that's kind of nice to have on the screen on the device because it just feels like it's right there. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the phone thing. I
desktop app as well.
I expect it to be cumbersome, but it's not. It's just like that I have to pull out a second piece of equipment. Maybe, I don't know. I'm one of those people that has that divide between like tiny computer and desktop computer. That like certain things I have to do on big computer. Right?
Yeah.
I'm one of these people.
I just have on screen now, like it's pictured on a MacBook next to the iPhones, right? So, there's a desktop app as well, or maybe so it's just for uploading. They're uploading IRs on the Mac screen. It says.
So I think if you're looking into getting into capturing, right? Like how much is a Quad Cortex? Let's look at that. It's a lot. I know that much. So $549 for the Mini or the Nano and $1,700 for the big boy.
Whoa. Okay. So the processing has to be different. There has to be something different about this horsepower.
Yeah. So it's not quad core. That's the thing. It's still Shark DSP, but it's just severely reduced power. Okay. But I think again, it's like, why do you need all
those amps at the touch of a button? Yeah.
At the touch of a button on the stage right now. You know what I mean? I think that's the dividing thing
I guess that doesn't actually mean that you can't have 10 amps stored in it because it's only running one at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's 64 presets on board. It's just like that versus, 10,000 presets or something. So it's some absurd thing that you still won't use. Yeah. So you can connect to it over Bluetooth. There is an app, like we said, 256 neural capture slots, 256 custom IR slots, and 64 presets you can jump between. One of the things that Neural's doing really well too is the zero latency between presets.
Yes, and I think gapless preset switching.
Yeah, and they've figured that out for this Nano one. I think that's a big deal because even on the full size Helix floor, there's still a gap when switching presets.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Which is not the end of the world to me.
But as soon as you get into a piece of kit that has gapless, the idea of going back would really hurt.
That would suck. Yeah, but then at the same time, it depends on how you think of guitar and how you think of rigs and how you want to, right? You know what I mean? Because if you're going to swap an entire guitar rig, amps, pedals, everything mid-song.
Is that what you have to do to make a gap happen?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's not right. That's not so bad. If you're just like turning on and off a distortion or something.
Right. So within the preset, the preset is what Line 6 calls it. There's no gaps. It's when you're changing presets. It's like when I go from my Fender sound to my 5150 rig, a totally different signal path, totally different everything. That's when there's a gap, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
It's
not, that may be
not
something
absurd.
Inherent in like the Shark DSP chips versus whatever the Helix is, probably maybe using a more traditional CPU or something.
Well, let's not forget Helix is like 15 years old.
Lest you forget, young man.
Yes. So, I still love my Helix, and that I'm not even going to call it a problem because it's not a problem.
It's not a problem. Yeah.
Well, it's not a problem that affects me, which is like a shitty thing to say, but it's
not that bad.
It's not that right. It's not that big a deal. So, and Helix has things in place to get around that, like snapshots, which is like presets within your presets, which is like entire like rhythm, crunch, lead, verse, bridge, chorus. Like you can pre-program all these different combinations of your stuff to have more changes at the push of a single button. But anyway, so I think this is a cool. Like I'm interested. I'm not going to buy it. But I was for a brief time thinking like with Helix not updating hardware in so long, is that a problem for me? Like how long does it how old does it have to get before I'm like some new hardware would be nice, right? A smaller footprint or something. And a Helix and a Quad Cortex are pretty much the same price too. So I don't know. Just it floats around in my mind sometimes. It's like I know that neural is now the bleeding edge of this stuff. So I'm rambling. But.
Well, the capture is really interesting. I kind of feel like that's like a needed feature nowadays for this level of kit, right? Like, and maybe so like Line 6 has what the new things that they've made, or the most recent things, were the rebound of pod, right?
Sort of, yeah. That's HX1. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I thought there was something that had pod.
Oh, branding. I mean, there's the Pod Go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Pod Go is kind of more like Helix Lite. Like it still uses the Helix engine.
Right. Exactly. Right. I didn't mean they're bringing back like the 1999 pod that's shaped like a bean.
Kidney bean.
Yeah. But that filling out that product line top to bottom kind of thing. That device doesn't have to have capture on it. You know what I mean? Like that, but when you're up here, when you're in the $500 zone, it seems like you have to have capture.
Honestly,
because
I would say like the sub 1,000 zone is like, that used to be off limits to that price range. And now it's clearly not.
No, it's not. Yeah. Cause here, I mean, I don't know. Am I wrong? Like, if I had that, because I feel like, man, now that I see it, I would not want to buy a modeler that didn't have capture. But would I use it when I think I use it? In my head, I'm thinking here, for me personally, what would I do with it? Because there's a marketplace full of people, pros in amazing studios with amazing amps who have done great captures of those amps, and I don't have to fiddle with it and get it wrong or put my mic position in a slightly unideal place and then have to deal with that forever until I redo it.
I totally agree. The fact that it can also capture pedals is very appealing to me.
Sure. Kind of seems like anything that can capture, though, should be able to do, because it doesn't know what the fuck it's capturing.
It also will match the controls, though, because Kemper won't do pedals. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Well, that's probably more advanced than I think it is then.
Yeah, I think it's more like you just tell it, like, what are the controls on this thing? Is it an amp? Is it a pedal? What is it expecting to hear? But maybe, I don't know. But yeah, again, like it's not like I would try to capture my rev and only use that, right? Like there's probably a better model of a rev already in it that I bet I would like.
Would I capture, if bands come in here, would I capture their amp for them? And then
would you capture their amp for you?
Well, it would end up being for me, right? But
that's what I mean.
maybe that's what I picture is like they come in, I like my amp, okay, great. We just do a capture of it and then we put it away and we don't have to do the let's play with my Sims until we've got it right and then I'll go run it through your amp, right? Which I've done before so that we don't have to deal with the loud for hours while we're playing, right? It's only for like 4 minutes a song or however many tracks I have. With this, I would do their capture for 4 minutes or however long it takes. And then we would just play through this pedal, right? To do all their DI stuff through their actual amp. I think I would do that. I think I would do that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's right. A use case that is like not in my mind, but it's very clear, right? Like it's so, that's kind of the other side of the coin. Yeah, I don't know. It's the whole marketplace thing of it all that I think is more appealing in the realm of captures in my realm. I
agree. I think it's almost like a distraction. Like being able to capture on your own. I'm turning this over. Like we're doing this live, right? It's like I think this has to be on every product. And now, like, what has it been? 45 seconds, and I'm like, I don't know.
Maybe not.
You know what I mean? It is like a red herring though, because like, how often are you going to do that personally? And like people who have tons of amps, that's a different story, I guess. But that's not most people.
So this is raising a question. So it's raising a question for me. Like, can you run a captured sound without the hardware to capture it yourself? Right? Like is there an option for a Nano Cortex Lite that doesn't have capturing for $100 less that I can just take advantage of the marketplace? But I don't know. I don't know if would I want that? I'm sure like it's not like I wouldn't try it. I just know it wouldn't be very good.
Yeah.
Weird.
It might be fine. I don't know. I just, when I'm like the amp sims that I have now that I really like, the ones in my system that I like the best have been made by Brainworks, and they go to all, they've got 4 different cabs with like 8 to 12 microphone combos on each cab, and there's probably like 4 or 5 mics that they use, and they sometimes do double mics, and sometimes they pair them with a few of the EQs they have. They have like a Neve NSX desk, and they have like a Millennia EQ, and so they'll do the regular one, they'll do an EQ'd version. Those are separate IRs essentially. These are all basically their amp sim has an IR loader that has all this piles and piles of stuff. And there's real value in that, right? Like, because I know how to place a mic on an amp, but like they fiddled with it to get it perfect for that speaker. You know what I mean? And they have the 57, the 421, the blue baby bottle ended up on a few of those, which I never think to put on a guitar, but like, I don't know, on some guitars it sounds good. They have a CMV 563, which is a vintage tube microphone that I don't have. You know what I mean? Like we have one at the monastery. We don't have one. I don't have one here. They have these, so a bunch of wild stuff. And then some of those IRs are 357s. And I don't know, like, it doesn't come with pictures, so I don't know, like, how they're arranged or whatever. When in my head,
like,
they're literally just 3 mics pointed directly
just
at
like,
the fucking
bam.
Like this. I know that's not what it is. Like, one of them's off to the side and stuff, but like, still, I'm like 357s, huh? Sure, fuck it.
It's like a sawed-off shotgun of microphones.
It's like they're all taped together. Anyway, this stuff is all like just touch of a button, and you scroll through it all. You know, if I made some IRs and then store, like, what would I do with that? I don't know. Would they really hold up to these things that were painstakingly created at this place in Germany, knowing that they were going to sell this plugin for like $100 to $200 per person who bought it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of value that they spent on that. And
that's like, I think that's the Line 6 approach is like, we'll handle it. You know, like you can
sit down,
you can do,
boy.
yeah, like obviously you can load up IRs and stuff, but as far as the amps are concerned, like there's no modeling. And again, still kind of waiting around for more Helix hardware, but whatever.
It'll have capture, right? Just to bring this completely back around on itself.
It's gotta, right? Like if it didn't, I feel like it's so clearly a mistake. But again, like it's going to become a feature like having, 698 MIDI presets or some shit that no one actually needs, but it will just be an extra like 3-cent part.
Right, exactly. The chip has that. The chip has that built in. This is a product to bridge people. This is for someone who needs their gap to modelers to be bridged, right? Somebody who's held out.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I have the amp I want, right? Now, like I have something really special, and that's why I haven't moved to modelers. Here they are.
Oh yeah, right? If you're a vintage amp owner or something, and that's like, it's old or fragile or something, and you don't want to take it out. Like that's again right there. That's the first thing.
Switch to convenience. We keep talking about the convenience of modelers. They haven't switched because it's that valuable to them to have that sound. This is the bridging that gap. This is why what Helix didn't do for them. Of course, why didn't they buy a Kemper 10 years ago?
Because it could be everything else. It could be the size of a Kemper is just not for them. Don't forget.
That actually doesn't achieve the conveniance. That's what Kemper never did, does it?
Well, now it is. They have the floor model version. It's just like Helix sized or Quad Cortex sized, but it's not, the original. The original was either rack mount or had that like weird lunchbox style thing. Yeah. But it was huge. It was like the size of a piece of stereo equipment or something. It was like a small
because it had
guitar
an amp
head.
in it.
Yeah. Well, not always either. They could get it without. Yeah. It was just like the form factor was
the same size. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
at least it was hopefully lighter without transformers in it.
I would assume so. The other thing about this, the Nano Cortex here is it is very lightweight, and that's one of the other things. Is like Helix is pretty friggin' heavy. HX Stomp as a pedal is heavy for a pedal, so I think this thing's under 2 pounds, which is kind of notable. It is very tall, it looks like, but don't care about that too much. I'd rather have the size and weight convenience than the weird height. So. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Good going. Well, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Nano Cortex. That neural DSP, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So let's go to Thing of the Week, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
So, my thing of the week is a thing that would have been really handy to have over the weekend and didn't arrive in time because I was too lazy about making sure I had all this stuff ready before the convention. But I got 4 of these NFC cards that are designed to look like, Justin.
Droids? I mean, they look like circuits.
It's the designed to look like the Death Star plans card that Leia feeds R2 at the beginning.
I don't think I've ever gotten that good a look at that. I don't think I didn't recognize that as a prop, no.
So this is a regular credit card size with that design on it. The one in the movie is much bigger and a different shape. But this is an NFC card that comes... Here, let's see if I can do this the right way. Here we go. See if I screen my phone enough for this to work? So I'm going to... just tap it on the back and ta-da, right? You get this thing. And I'm going to open that up and it's going to bring me to the Death Star plans. So how good is this, right?
This is awesome.
This would have been so awesome to have at the con because I keep one in my wallet now. I have 4 of these. 4 of these were only $5, so really fun. But I've replaced the info on it with my Instagram handle. So I can just tap somebody's phone or somebody can tap this thing on a stand or something and it will bring them right to my profile for droid making in a Star Wars themed little taggy card thing.
Rad.
So much more fun than a QR code or, having your Instagram handle written out on a piece of paper. But yeah, really fun. And they're really nice. It's not like a card with a sticker on it. It's actually printed to the plastic. So it feels really sturdy. Yeah, it feels really durable. So really a super fun thing. And NFC is a thing that I haven't really looked into too much, just in general. I always forget my phone can do it. But this is fun. Like this is a lot of people were asking me, like, do you have a business card? I was like, I don't, but I can just give you my Instagram name and you can send me a message. So this would have been a little more convenient than like telling people my name or having them like scan the Instagram QR code off my phone. But anyway, these are from a place called Hyperspace Props, and they make all kinds of cool stuff, including Sabak cards and currency and all of that. Really, really fun and pretty affordable. Like I said, I got 4 of these cards, which are like, kind of security tag cards to get into a building or something. Right. 4 of them for $5. Like, obviously.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah. My wife's been on my back because I don't have any business cards, and not that I would really like if somebody met me, I could easily just give them my contact info, right? So I sort of feel as silly, although you do kind of want like a quick and easy way. She has these cards, or no, it isn't a card. I'm sorry. It's like an app that you set up a profile on, and you have like a little shortcut on your lock screen kind of thing, and you can do the little like kiss their phone kind of deal. And it just automatically puts them, a button here, add this to contacts. Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's
she was like,
too.
That's what she has for her business. And like my dad runs into people and he's always like, he's at these guitar playing things and stuff like that. And he, oh yeah, my son is an engineer, and everybody kind of goes, oh, sure. And he's like, oh yeah, he works with that Rich Wardinsky there and everybody, suddenly, because he's like famous around here. He does what? So your son's not not a little hobbyist somewhere,
not a schmuck.
He's told me that like multiple times. He's had people turn around and be like, like they were totally giving him the brush off until he said that. So I guess I need a little.
Thanks for the credibility.
He can tap the. I mean, Rich does the same thing too. I was at a show. My dad and I went to see Rich play at a jazz club.
Oh, cool.
He did a little show, and afterwards I was like, people are milling about. This lady was like, how did you enjoy the show? I was, it was really fun. I actually know Rich because I work with him at his studio. And she's like, oh my God, he has a studio? Like, didn't know all that. And then we're doing this whole business, and we walk over and I'm like, hi, this is, Rich, meet so-and-so. And, so I hear you have a studio. And Rich turns right around, well, yeah, and Justin's a great engineer. So he's like, I'm like throwing things at him, and he's like trying to not get it back. He's like not trying to not be the one who receives it. So it's like, it's fine. Marielle's always like, how come you do that? How come you tell people about someone else's studio? And I'm like, no, you don't get it. We were in Walnut Hills. We're right next to where the studio is. I can tell, like, she's a person where if she called me, I'd be bringing her. It was to record a band, If I'm going to record a band off the floor, I'm going to be, I need a space, you know what I mean? I've put, in this room, I've put a drum set in here 2 times. It's not cute.
I was going to say, it probably sucks.
Whoa. You can't see my video.
I can't see you.
I threw a peace sign. I held up like 2 fingers for it's doing it again. Balloons are appearing all around me.
Really?
But why is it? Because it's doing it in OBS too. It's not Discord. I think my camera's doing that.
Oh yeah.
Is this Apple? Is this Mac OS that does it?
That's an Apple thing. Yeah.
So if I do this, it's going to do hearts. If I get it right.
It might.
Yep.
I think it does that
hearts.
on FaceTime.
Fuck.
Weird. Okay.
All right. Well, that's in our podcast now. Okay. I'm going to pick a thing. I'm going to pick a TV show again. Right. I'm going to pick. I don't want to show a thing with video. Here we go. I
can't see it anyway.
I know you can't see it anyway. What I'm going to pick is this show is called English Teacher. It is English Teacher. It is a FX production, so you can find it on Hulu. Okay. It's a comedy. It's one of the best new shows I've seen in ages. Okay. It's so this this English teacher and the other people, the other faculty around the school, like, just situations and stuff. It's the editing, the time, the comedic timing, no wasted seconds. It's just one of those things. It's been masterful. We've watched 4 or 5 episodes probably, and they're, nice. tackling some topics. The last one was like about like gun control and guns in school and stuff. And the thing is, it's not a show that's telling you what they think necessarily. Like, I don't totally think I know what the writers actually think about it, because the different characters, they all sort of have like whatever's going on. I'm just thinking of that because it's the most recent episode we watched, but like whatever the scenario is in that episode, the characters all have their own opinions and are expressing them, and then something works out, something doesn't work out, and I just editing and just the writing, a show where there's no exposition. I'm not watching it going, oh, here's the exposition. No, I'm just learning the characters' values and where they're coming from in situations that don't feel forced. My God. Yeah. It's the shit that I could never do if I was a writer. Yeah, I'd be terrible at it. So anyway, we've been really enjoying it.
Did you guys ever watch Abbott Elementary?
I really tried. I think I only got through like a couple of episodes. Yeah, I found that I didn't like that one.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, it's fine. I was just curious. I know people who are or were teachers sometimes don't want to watch it, so because it's a little too close to real life. Yeah,
I think Marielle liked it better than I did.
I remember thinking season 1 was like, it had that rough start that many sitcoms do.
Okay.
But I think it certainly pays off and gets better. Now it's been winning all kinds of awards too. But
I did see that. Yeah. It would be, I mean, maybe I should jump in on season 2 and just try to skip the rocky biz. I felt that way about New Girl. Do you remember that show?
Yep. Oh yeah. Which has like a cult-like following, a la The Office or Scrubs or whatever. Yeah. Like people cherish that show. How I Met Your Mother. Like
second time around, ended up loving it, but the first time I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like I just totally didn't understand it, and so that was definitely a me problem.
It's that style of show, right? That like
could be,
that. It's not a 3-camera shoot. There's no audience. New Girl's not documentary style, but that style was like big then, and it was new then. So maybe it was just,
maybe I wanted it to be documentary style.
Which Abbott Elementary is, right? It has that confessional thing and that reality show
cutaways.
Look. Yeah. The zoom in, the shaky cam. Yeah.
Nice. Well, cool. So this one is not the documentary or anything like that. It's not pretending to be real. Just very fast. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. I have one other recommendation that's only a single episode of a show to bait you into watching the rest of it.
Okay.
So at the BOTCON, somebody had made one of the robots from the show Love, Death, and Robots, which I had not seen before. I know it was a Netflix original. There's, I think, 3 or 4 seasons. I think maybe 3. For some reason, Netflix started me on season 3. I don't know why. Like it when you go to a new show, it usually is the first thing.
It usually knows better.
Start at the beginning. Yeah. But it started me on season 3. So I accidentally watched the first 2 episodes of season 3. However, it's more like animated short stories. So there is no consistency between episodes. They're completely unrelated. The first episode of season 3 is peak Justin humor. I really think you would like it.
All right, yeah.
So, and the second episode, I was loving it. I'm like, this is so funny. This is so good. I'll watch the next one. Second one, completely insanely the opposite of the first episode. It couldn't be more different. Also very, very good, but just like, oh man, we are not in the same game anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm planning to watch more of that, but I'll probably start at season 1.
Yeah. Cool.
Basically, the bit is that it's 3 robots on tour of Earth post-apocalypse.
Okay.
Post-human apocalypse. And they're like, what happened?
Anthropologists.
Yeah, but they're like robot tourists.
Okay.
It's very funny.
All right.
Anyway,
all right. Cool.
Let's get out of here, huh?
Yeah, let's do that. So that's a pretty good show. We keep running to 1 hour 15, like the last 3 or 4 episodes, We're like, right.
Because we don't know when to shut our own mouths.
But we're hitting that fucking bullseye every time. So
look at us.
If you've enjoyed the first episode of season 2 of the Tone Control, we would love to hear your feedback. Quick audience poll for anybody who stuck around this long. Who do you think gets second place at guitar? Where's the silver medal going? Yamaha got the gold, as we recall. So anyway, would love to know your thoughts. Sound off in Discord. If you want to join Discord, the link's right there at the top of the show notes and so on and so forth. And you can support the show on Patreon. You can do all those things. You can join the newsletter. It's going to be great.
Yes,
it's going to be great. You can do it. You can do it. So then that leaves us with nothing left to do except fire off here the thanks to the patrons. And I'm assuming Derek can't see me, so
I can't.
So I'm just going to start it. Yes. So thanks, patrons, for your support. This week, the patrons include Rabbi Bob, Chill Pollins, Carson Ricketts, Matthew Fenslaw, Ryzen Wolf, Brian Gower of the Tone Jerks podcast, Andrew Walsh of Andrew's Alcove, Sean Wright of Lollygagger Effects, Doug Gann, and Patchmaster General.
He's back, baby.
He's back. The General's in town. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thanks very much. Talk to you next time.
See you. Bye.